Welcome to 22 Deep, your daily deep dive into the heart of trending topics through the lens of AI-generated discussions. Here, we explore the latest in technology, culture, business, and beyond, transforming complex subjects into engaging conversations. Welcome to the 22 Deep podcast. Today, we have a special guest who's been making waves in the tech industry by offering a unique service to businesses. Please welcome John Dunn, a fractional CTO. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share my experiences and insights with your audience.
Let's dive right in. For those who might not be familiar with the term, could you explain what a fractional CTO is and how it differs from a traditional CTO role?
Absolutely. A fractional CTO is essentially a chief technology officer who works on a part-time or contract basis, usually for multiple companies simultaneously. This is in contrast to a traditional CTO, who is a full-time employee dedicated to a single company. The idea behind fractional CTOs is to provide access to high-level technical expertise and strategic guidance to businesses that might not have the budget or the need for a full-time CTO. It's a way for smaller companies to leverage the knowledge and experience of seasoned tech executives without the associated costs.
That's a fascinating concept. I can see how this could be a game changer for many businesses. In your experience, what types of companies typically seek out fractional CTO services?
I've worked with a wide range of companies from early-stage startups to established SMEs across various industries. The common thread is that they all recognize the importance of technology in driving their business forward, but they may not have the resources to hire a full-time CTO. For startups, a fractional CTO can help them build a solid technical foundation, develop their product roadmap, and scale their technology as they grow. For more established companies, a fractional CTO can provide strategic guidance on digital transformation initiatives, help them optimize their tech stack, and mentor their in-house tech teams.
It sounds like fractional CTOs wear many hats. I'm curious, how do you manage working with multiple clients simultaneously? It must require a great deal of organization and context switching.
You're right. It can be challenging at times. The key is to be highly organized and to set clear expectations with each client from the outset. I work closely with the leadership team of each company to understand their goals, priorities, and pain points. From there, we develop a tailored engagement plan that outlines my responsibilities, deliverables, and time commitment. I also make sure to have regular check-ins with each client to stay aligned and address any issues that may arise. It's important to be proactive in communication and to be transparent about my availability and bandwidth. One thing I've learned over the years is the importance of context switching. When I'm working with a particular client, I need to be fully present and focused on their specific needs and challenges. It's not always easy, but it's a skill that I've developed over time.
I can imagine that your work as a fractional CTO has exposed you to a wide range of technologies and industries. Can you share some of the most interesting or innovative projects you've worked on?
Oh, there have been quite a few. One that comes to mind is a project I worked on with a healthcare startup. They were developing a platform to help patients manage chronic conditions through remote monitoring and personalized care plans. The technical challenges were significant. We had to ensure that the platform was secure, scalable, and compliant with various healthcare regulations. We also had to integrate with a wide range of wearable devices and medical sensors to collect patient data. What made this project particularly interesting was the potential impact it could have on patient outcomes. By empowering patients to take a more active role in managing their health, and providing their doctors with real-time data, we were helping to improve the quality of care and potentially save lives. Another memorable project was with a company in the renewable energy space. They were developing a blockchain-based platform for trading renewable energy certificates. The goal was to create a more transparent and efficient market for renewable energy. From a technical perspective, this project required a deep understanding of blockchain technology and smart contracts. We had to design a system that could handle a high volume of transactions while maintaining the integrity and security of the data. What I found fascinating about this project was the potential for blockchain to disrupt traditional energy markets and accelerate the adoption of renewable energy. It's a great example of how technology can be leveraged to solve complex social and environmental challenges.
Those are some incredibly impactful projects. It's clear that your work as a fractional CTO goes beyond just the technology itself. You're really helping to drive innovation and solve real-world problems. I'm curious, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing CTOs today, whether they're fractional or full-time?
There are several significant challenges that CTOs face today. One of the biggest is staying ahead of the rapid pace of technological change. It seems like every day there's a new technology or framework or tool that's being touted as the next big thing. As a CTO, it's my job to cut through the hype and identify the technologies that will actually deliver value for the business. This requires a deep understanding of the business itself, its goals, its customers, its competitive landscape. It's not about chasing the latest shiny object, but rather strategically leveraging technology to drive the business forward. Another big challenge is talent. The competition for top tech talent is fierce, and it's only getting more intense. As a fractional CTO, I often help companies navigate this challenge by helping them build a compelling employer brand, develop effective hiring and retention strategies, and create a culture that attracts and retains top talent.
Those are great insights. I want to pick up on your point about staying ahead of technological change. How do you personally stay up to date with the latest trends and best practices in the tech world?
It's a constant process of learning and exploration. I'm always reading industry blogs, white papers, research reports. I attend conferences and meetups to hear from other experts and to network with peers. I also make a point of carving out time for hands-on experimentation with new technologies. One thing I found particularly valuable is engaging with the open source community. There's so much innovation happening in the open source world, and it's often a great indicator of where the industry is headed. I try to contribute to open source projects when I can, and I encourage my teams to do the same. But perhaps most importantly, I try to maintain a mindset of continuous learning. The technology landscape is always evolving, and what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. As a CTO, I need to be adaptable and always willing to question my assumptions.
That's a great segue into my next question. In your role as a fractional CTO, you're often coming into organizations to drive change and transformation. How do you approach the challenge of change management, especially when it comes to getting buy-in from stakeholders who may be resistant to change?
Change management is a critical part of the job, and it's often one of the most challenging aspects. The key is to start by building trust and credibility with stakeholders at all levels of the organization. This means taking the time to listen and understand their concerns, their pain points, and their goals. From there, it's about articulating a clear and compelling vision for how technology can help the organization achieve its objectives. This vision needs to be grounded in the realities of the business, the budget, the resources, the timeline. It's not about pie-in-the-sky promises, but rather a pragmatic roadmap for delivering value. I also try to focus on quick wins early in the engagement. By delivering tangible results quickly, you can build momentum and buy-in for larger, more transformative initiatives. Another important aspect of change management is communication. It's critical to keep all stakeholders informed and engaged throughout the process. This means regular updates, transparent reporting on progress and challenges, and creating opportunities for feedback and dialogue.
I imagine that your work as a fractional CTO gives you a unique perspective on the tech industry as a whole. As you look to the future, what are some of the trends or technologies that you think will have the biggest impact on businesses in the coming years?
There are several trends that I think will be transformative in the coming years. One is the continued rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We're already seeing AI being applied in a wide range of domains, from healthcare to finance to manufacturing. As the technology continues to mature, I think we'll see even more innovative applications emerge. Another trend is the decentralization of technology. We're moving away from monolithic, centralized systems and towards more distributed, decentralized architectures. This includes things like edge computing, where processing happens closer to the source of data, as well as blockchain and other distributed ledger technologies. I also think we'll see a continued focus on sustainability and social responsibility in the tech industry.
That's a great point about sustainability and social responsibility. Can you share some examples of how you've seen businesses leveraging technology to drive positive social and environmental impact?
Absolutely. One example that comes to mind is a company I worked with in the agriculture sector. They were using IoT sensors and data analytics to optimize irrigation and fertilization in their crops. By collecting real-time data on soil moisture, weather conditions, and plant health, they were able to significantly reduce their water and chemical usage while actually improving their crop yields. Another example is a company in the fashion industry that was using blockchain to create a transparent and traceable supply chain. By recording every step of the production process on the blockchain, from the sourcing of raw materials to the final product, they were able to provide consumers with complete visibility into the ethical and environmental impact of their products. I think we'll see more and more businesses adopting these kinds of technologies, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's increasingly what consumers and investors are demanding.
Those are fantastic examples. It's encouraging to see technology being used, not just for business outcomes, but for social good as well. Shifting gears a bit, I want to touch on the topic of cybersecurity. With the increasing sophistication of cyber threats, how do you approach the challenge of keeping your clients' systems and data secure?
Cybersecurity is a top priority for any CTO, and it's an area that requires constant vigilance. The threat landscape is always evolving, and attackers are always finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities. My approach to cybersecurity starts with a comprehensive risk assessment. This means understanding the unique security needs of each client based on their industry, their regulatory environment, and the sensitivity of their data. From there, we develop a multi-layered security strategy that includes things like access controls, encryption, network segmentation, and continuous monitoring. But technology is only part of the equation. I also put a strong emphasis on security awareness and training for employees. Humans are often the weakest link in the security chain, and it's critical that everyone in the organization understands their role in keeping data secure. Another key aspect of my approach is incident response planning. No matter how strong your defenses are, there's always the possibility of a breach. Having a well-rehearsed incident response plan can make the difference between a minor incident and a major catastrophe.
Those are excellent points. I want to shift our discussion to the topic of innovation. As a fractional CTO, you're often brought in to help companies innovate and stay ahead of the curve. How do you foster a culture of innovation within the organizations you work with?
Fostering a culture of innovation is one of the most important and challenging parts of my job. Innovation doesn't happen by accident. It requires a deliberate and sustained effort. One of the key things I focus on is creating an environment where it's safe to take risks and fail. Innovation inherently involves uncertainty and the possibility of failure. If people are afraid to fail, they'll never try anything new. So I work to create a culture where experimentation is encouraged and failures are seen as learning opportunities. Another important aspect is diversity and inclusion. Innovation thrives on different perspectives and ideas. I strive to build teams that are diverse in terms of background, expertise, and thought. This means actively seeking out and including underrepresented voices. I also try to create structures and processes that support innovation. This might include things like dedicated innovation time, where employees are given the freedom to work on new ideas, or innovation challenges, where teams compete to come up with creative solutions to specific problems. But perhaps most importantly, I lead by example. As a leader, I need to model the behaviors and attitudes that I want to see in my teams. This means being curious, being open to new ideas, and being willing to take calculated risks.
That's a great point about leading by example. As a leader, your actions and attitudes can have a huge impact on the culture of innovation within an organization. I'm curious, in your experience, what are some of the most common barriers to innovation that you see in organizations, and how do you help them overcome those barriers?
There are several common barriers to innovation that I see across organizations. One is a lack of alignment between innovation initiatives and the overall strategy of the business. Innovation can't be an isolated activity. It needs to be tied to the company's strategic goals and priorities. When there's a disconnect, it's hard to get buy-in and support from leadership. Another barrier is a lack of resources. Innovation requires investment in time, in people, in technology. If teams are already stretched thin just keeping the lights on, it can be hard to carve out the space for innovation. As a fractional CTO, part of my role is often helping companies identify and allocate the resources needed to support innovation. A third barrier is a risk-averse culture. As I mentioned earlier, innovation involves risk. If the organizational culture is one where failure is not tolerated, where people are punished for taking risks, it's going to stifle innovation. Overcoming this requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to embrace uncertainty and learn from failures. To help organizations overcome these barriers, I often start by helping them develop a clear innovation strategy that's aligned with their business goals. This provides a framework for prioritizing and resourcing innovation initiatives. I also work to help them build the capabilities and structures needed to support innovation. This might include things like innovation labs, rapid prototyping capabilities, or partnerships with startups and academia. And crucially, I work to help leadership create a culture that supports and rewards innovation. This means modeling the right behaviors, celebrating successes, and learning from failures.
Those are fantastic insights. As we start to wrap up our conversation, I want to ask you a more personal question. What drew you to the role of fractional CTO? And what do you find most fulfilling about the work you do?
I've always been passionate about technology and its potential to drive positive change in the world. Early in my career, I worked as a software engineer and then as a full-time CTO. I loved the work, but I often felt like I was only seeing a small slice of the technology landscape. As a fractional CTO, I get to work with a wide range of companies across different industries. This gives me a much broader perspective on how technology is being applied and the impact it's having. I find it incredibly fulfilling to be able to help so many different organizations leverage technology to achieve their goals. I also love the challenge of it. Every client is different, with their own unique needs and constraints. It keeps me on my toes and ensures that I'm always learning and growing. But perhaps most importantly, I find it deeply meaningful to be able to make a real difference in the trajectory of these businesses. By helping them harness the power of technology, I feel like I'm contributing to their success in a tangible way. Whether it's helping a startup bring their innovative idea to life or helping an established company navigate a digital transformation, it's incredibly rewarding to be a part of that journey.
That's a wonderful perspective. It's clear that you have a real passion for what you do, and it's inspiring to hear about the impact you're having across so many different organizations. Building on that, I'm curious about your thoughts on the role of technology in driving social and economic change more broadly. How do you see the work of CTOs and technology leaders contributing to some of the biggest challenges we face as a society?
That's a great question, and it's something I think about a lot. I firmly believe that technology has a crucial role to play in addressing many of the most pressing challenges we face as a global community. Take climate change, for example. Technology is at the heart of many of the solutions we need to transition to a low-carbon economy, from renewable energy to electric vehicles to smart grids. CTOs in the energy sector are working on some of the most exciting and impactful innovations in this space. Or look at healthcare. Technology is transforming the way we diagnose, treat, and prevent disease. From personalized medicine to telemedicine to AI-assisted diagnosis, technology is enabling us to deliver better, more accessible healthcare to people around the world. Even in areas like education and social justice, technology is having a profound impact. Online learning platforms are making high-quality education accessible to people who might not otherwise have had the opportunity. Social media and digital activism are giving a voice to marginalized communities and driving social change. As technology leaders, I believe we have a responsibility to think deeply about the societal implications of the work we do. We need to be asking ourselves not just, can we build this, but should we build this? And if we do, how can we ensure that it benefits society as a whole? This means being intentional about the products and platforms we create, the data we collect and how we use it, the algorithms we develop and how they might amplify or mitigate biases. It means considering the ethical implications of emerging technologies like AI and machine learning. It also means using our positions of influence to advocate for policies and practices that ensure the benefits of technology are distributed equitably. This includes things like expanding access to digital infrastructure, investing in STEM education, and promoting diversity and inclusion in the tech industry.
Those are fascinating and thought-provoking perspectives. It's clear that the role of the CTO and of technology leaders more broadly is becoming increasingly complex and multifaceted. As we wrap up our conversation, what advice would you give to aspiring CTOs or technology leaders who are looking to make a positive impact in their organizations and in society?
My advice would be to never stop learning. The technology landscape is evolving so rapidly, and the challenges we face as a society are so complex that a commitment to continuous learning is essential. This means staying up to date with the latest technologies and trends, but it also means learning from other disciplines and perspectives. I would also encourage aspiring leaders to cultivate a strong ethical compass. As we've discussed, technology is a powerful tool, but it's not inherently good or bad. It's up to us as leaders to ensure that it's developed and used in ways that benefit society. This means being willing to ask tough questions, to consider the long-term implications of our choices, and to make decisions based on our values and principles. Finally, I would say to embrace collaboration and diversity. The challenges we face are too big for any one person or organization to solve alone. We need to work across boundaries, across companies, across industries, across disciplines, and we need to ensure that our teams and our leadership reflect the diversity of the communities we serve. Diverse teams are more innovative, more creative, and better equipped to tackle complex problems. At the end of the day, being a technology leader is about more than just technical expertise. It's about vision, it's about ethics, it's about leadership, it's about using the power of technology to make a positive difference in the world. And that's an incredibly exciting and rewarding journey to be on.
John, this has been an absolutely fascinating conversation. Your insights and perspectives are truly thought-provoking, and I know our listeners will have gained a lot from hearing your experiences and your vision for the future of technology and society. As we close out our discussion, I want to thank you once again for taking the time to share your thoughts with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure to discuss these topics with you and your listeners. These are important conversations to have, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my perspective. To your listeners, I would just say this: technology is a powerful force in our world, and it's up to all of us to ensure that it's a force for good. Whether you're a technology leader, an entrepreneur, or simply someone who cares about the future of our society, you have a role to play. Stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop asking how we can use technology to build a better world.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you again, John, and thanks to all of you for listening. Until next time, this is the 22 Deep Podcast, where innovation meets inspiration.